Oh no. It's too hot. I got to break free. One more day of isolation. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Go get your cup of tea and biscuits, you know, got mine. I'm quite shocked at myself for making this video. I don't particularly know why I'm doing it, but obviously talking about mental health is why I started this whole thing. I don't like to talk about my OCD. I would say this is one I actually get quite embarrassed talking about. When I've been asked about it, I think people don't get it as much. As a kid, it was checking the weather. As I grew older, it was checking the news. And when I say checking the weather and checking the news, it wasn't just like once every 2 hours. It was once every 5 minutes. When I was in sixth form, I used to get really anxious about having classes because I couldn't check the news, and it would be a whole hour until I could actually check it. I would normally go to the toilet just so I can check it at least once in a class, because in the result of it, I felt like if I didn't check it, something bad was going to happen. As I got older and other incidents happened throughout my life, which is a different video altogether, my OCD became that kind of traditional type of OCD that a lot of people may think of, and that was switching plugs and lights. I would have to, I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I used to have to like flick the switch 3 times. And that would be every single time I went into a room. Started to get a wee bit better now, since I went on placement in March. And because obviously I can't flick the switches on and off on a ward, and it kind of like got me back in the routine of just doing it once. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I would do it if I went to the toilet and flicked on the switch. If I was having a bad day that day, I would have to do it 3 times. But it started a couple of years ago that I had this routine of going before I went to bed when I'm at home. I still do it today. I would have to make sure all the plugs are off downstairs, and if there was on, I would flick it 3 times. I touch doors 3 times, make sure the heating's on a multiple of 3. I would flick the switches, do all of that, and then I would say goodnight to my parents 3 times. And that takes me about 10-15 minutes every night. OCD does work with my anxiety. If my OCD is bad that day, my anxiety is going to be bad. If my anxiety is bad, my OCD will be worse. During this pandemic, OCD and pandemic, I don't think you could mix 2 worse ingredients together. So when I found out there was a lockdown, when I found out COVID was a thing, I thought, oh crap, like this is gonna be my nightmare. When the first lockdown happened, I was absolutely fine. I was allowed to go on more than 1 walk a day because of my like mental health. So I used to do 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. You know, it was the summer, so I went for my run in the morning, and then in the evening I would go for a walk. On the lockdown, I washed my hands just when I needed to, when I went out, came back in, and it was fine. And I noticed a big change when I went back to uni, and I realised actually I was washing my hands an awful lot. I would wash my hands every single time I came out of my room. Like I would it got to the point where I was kind of like thinking, what happens if I've touched something in my room that I forgot to wash? I didn't want to give COVID to my housemates. It was getting kind of worse, but it was manageable. I've always been anxious living at uni, wherever I was, but this year was a lot different. I stayed there for 2 weeks, and if you know me, you know that is absolutely amazing. And I was super proud of myself. I had kind of thought to myself, if I need to self-isolate at uni, so be it. If there's a lockdown, I'll stay at uni. And I could see that I was washing my hands more, and even though it was making my hands sore, I just put more hand cream on and kind of dealt with it, if that makes sense. And it probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I think when you've been suffering with anxiety, OCD, as long as I have, you kind of just take some things in their stroll. And then something happened. There was an incident. I'm not going to go into the incident, especially as I'm not the only one living in my house. It was a small thing, and something that I would say most people would be able to kind of, you know, slowly get through and work through it. When it happened, I went straight home, and just because I knew I needed to. And I could see that my anxiety was going completely on this hand washing thing and this obsessive thought, if I didn't wash my hands now, it was going to happen again, or I was going to get COVID, or worse, I was going to give COVID to my housemate. I would say if I went into the kitchen to read my book or watch TV with a cup of tea for like half an hour, I was washing my hands in the kitchen about 10 times. I would put my hand cream on, but then I got a fixation that my hand cream was dirty, so I would put hand cream on but then have to go and wash my hands because I've touched the bottle. In my rational head, I knew I was safe. I knew my housemates were there if I needed them. And I knew I had nothing really to worry about. I was changing my clothes every single time I got in my car, every single time I went to Sainsbury's, uni, and putting them in the wash. First week I went back for a couple of nights, and my amazing housemate stayed in my room, which absolutely put the pressure off. She was amazing and kind of just settled me back in. The following week I came back and I was sleeping in my room myself. And the hand washing, like, obviously it was just the same as it was the previous week. I was just washing my hands like literally ridiculous amount, especially when I was cooking. It would be every 2 seconds. And the thing is that, like, obviously when my hands hurt, it gets itchy, and it was making my hands bleed. When I was like going to bed, obviously my anxiety is always worse before bed, 100%. And I wanted to wash my hands all the time. I was going through bottles and bottles of anti-bac. When I put anti-bac on as well, it stung like hell. And it got to also the point that if I was moving my clothes from home to uni, I would anti-bac everything, every makeup piece, all that, and also my clothes would go straight in the wash. Even though they were in a clean suitcase in my car, and came back and I unpacked it with clean hands. The first few nights I stayed on my own. The first night I went to sleep at 5:30. I had training in Southampton at 9 AM, and then, which I did go to, and then the following day it was like 3 AM, half 3. I fell asleep and then I drove back home to Reading. I know that when I'm anxious, there's no way I can do more than 2 nights in a row, because if I go, let's say it's Monday to Wednesday, if I go Monday and I'm thinking I'm not going until Thursday, I'm gonna have panic attack. Nights is kind of like my process, and I was going to get to the point where you like shorten the gap, so it's like 2 nights, 1 night at home, then back 2 nights. And I had this kind of plan in my head that I am going to get back. I knew the only other problem is that my placement was a whole lot closer to home than uni, so that kind of motivation was out of it. But I was wanting my independence and be at uni, and wanted to get back to that. And we found out we were going into lockdown. I had to make a difficult decision of whether I go home, I stay at home, or I stay at uni. And I always kind of said I'd stay at uni. I came to the realisation that it wouldn't be straight away, where my sleep, it wouldn't have gone back to normal by the time placement started, and I was on a 9 to 5 placement. I had to make that decision, and I decided to stay home. and it wasn't an easy decision. I definitely feel like I let people down, and I also let myself down. And the most frustrating thing is that since the start of the year, I've done really well with my anxiety. I have gone clubbing this year. I got to the point where I could drive without feeling too anxious. Obviously I still get a bit anxious driving in the dark, but nowhere near as it used to be. I had done so well during the pandemic as well, and then I stayed 2 weeks at uni, which just last year was unspeakable, and I never thought I would actually get to that point. And stupid thing to happen, and I'm back at square one, and it's not just affecting my life when I'm at uni, it's affecting my life when I'm at home. I've woken up, and it's just really frustrating when you've got so far and you're having to start again. I am working on it. But at the same time, I try not to be too hard on myself, because there is a pandemic going on and it's out of my control. Say, you know, hang on, coronavirus, will you just stop for a second so I can, you know, go back to uni and kind of sort my shit out. I was expecting to live in my 3rd year, and I thought I would be able to stay at uni for a lockdown. So can you like back off so I can get back to that place? You know, I don't have that control over it. And that I'll have the strength to get back to my plan. I have so much support at uni, I have so much support at home, I have so much support in Ireland. Absolutely determined to go back, and nothing's going to get in my way of that. I know I'm going to have some nights where I won't be able to sleep. I know I'm going to have some days where a panic attack might start, and of course that frustrates me because I've pretty much had a panic attack free year, touch wood. Know me, where I've come from the point where I was having one every day to just having a few a year is absolutely fine by me. You know, I don't want this little incident, I don't want whatever that was to ruin my life, you know. I'm gonna have to work a lot harder than I thought and kind of just bat it out and be strong, because it is a crap situation, but just as a bump in the road, and that I will get back to where I was. This has been quite a talk for today, but I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope it does reach out to at least one of you that, you know, this is a hard time, and you may feel like, a bit like me, that you feel like you've failed yourself, you've let down others, but you haven't. You honestly haven't. Within time you will get to the point where actually, no, I've had to do this just to take a step back. Okay, you know, you could be all the way up with your mental health and then suddenly one incident happens and you're back down again. But just remember, like, it's a roller coaster. You go up, down, turn around, what have you, and you will get there. I love you guys so much, and please subscribe, like the video, and please share it to reach out to anyone that may need to hear it. Love you guys. Bye.